Greetings, and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and I am excited today. I have a guest that's coming back to our show, Kim Scott. Welcome again, Kim.
Greetings, Coach Charlene. It's such I was really elated when you asked me to come back, but it's a pleasure to be back with you. Some things have changed since we
Yes.
last spoke.
Yeah. So we're gonna unpack some of that, but I wanted to just kind of give you an opportunity for those that haven't seen your first episode, and I do encourage you guys to go back. It's been several months, but go back, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure you go back and listen to her first segment because it was extremely powerful. And I want you to get all of the fullness of what she had to say. I was truly blessed by what she had to say. So, Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into our conversation.
Yeah, so I am a nurse leader from the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been a registered nurse for 25 years. I have a background in emergency nursing. That was my clinical background. But for a majority of my career, I've been in leadership. I've also worked as a consultant in risk and quality. I am a community nurse connector, advocate, author, coach. You name it. I feel like I do everything with nursing. Nursing has been such a blessing to my life. I knew in the eighth grade that I wanted to be a nurse. There wasn't one event or one person that I came across. I just knew I wanted to be a nurse and stayed focused since then to pursue my dream. And I am so happy that I made that decision. Nursing is indeed a calling. And I consider myself to be very privileged and
Yes.
blessed that we get the opportunity to interface with people at their most vulnerable moments. They trust in us. There has been, I think, a Gallup
Yes.
poll that has says nursing has been the most trusted profession, and I really felt, and I take this
Yes.
title and this profession and this role as an honor and a privilege to serve those that are in need. Anyone out there considering to be a nurse, you must have this prerequisite, and that is to be able to have the capacity to care for strangers as if that they are your family. That is the prerequisite. To care beyond,
That
uh,
is
right?
great.
Like to just care beyond what our simple understanding is about being familiar with I think humans, right? So
Yeah, you know what? That is really good because I mean, I've talked to some newer nurses and I don't think they had that prerequisite. They went in it because it was a lucrative profession and then you jump into it and you see that, oh my gosh, this is like really a lot. I am really called to do something really amazing. So, as you talk about that, Kim, what would you tell a person like a newer nurse? I'm talking about like 1 to 3 years because those are the ones that are kind of jumping off the ship already
right,
and they just started.
right.
So, what would you give them, like as far as advice? How can they kind of reset and then get back into the groove with that particular principle that you just said?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And like anything, what is your why? Like, why did you choose nursing? I think is the one piece, right? We all have to figure out what our purpose in life is. And once we figure out what our purpose in life, I think we could get to that happy place or that joy and meaning to you in your profession. So if your why doesn't connect
Yes.
with that purpose and you chose nursing, then you need to kind of reconsider um, why you chose nursing. But I would say the first thing is connect to their why or their purpose of why did you choose nursing. Uh, One of the things that I think we're going to talk about, later is mentoring. And so as a leader in the mentorship space, I ask each mentor, why do you want to be a mentor? What is your why? And that is so important to identify before we start moving in those spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good because, once you find out your why, you can do the what.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually comes easier. But let me ask you a question though, because that means that you've been in the profession for over, did you say over 20 years?
Yes. Two and a half decades.
Okay. So how did Kim do it? Like, how did you get to where you are? You don't look like you lost your passion at all. You're on fire. You're really your mentor. You're doing so many wonderful things with the community. So, how did you maintain the balance that you needed to continue to have the passion that you do?
Yeah, well, nursing I think makes it easy, right? Because we can choose so many different paths. So, of course, I followed the script in regards to right after nursing school. I worked in med surge. You know, everyone said you need to start in med surge so you could kind of see an array or a range of different conditions, and that'll give you a good foundation. So I did that. I did my 13 months to be exact, and it wasn't me. You know, it felt like a grind. It
Mhm.
was really hard. It was before the electronic medical record. So I would be 2 hours over my shift charting, handwriting. And at the time, we had to co-sign. And as a new grad nurse, we had to co-sign for LVNs. It was a lot. But it just wasn't me.
Yes.
So before I became a nurse, I volunteered in the emergency department, and then I also was a nurse's aide in the emergency for the most part. And I was like, I'm gonna go back to the ED. And when I did, Charlene, it was like this is where I belong. I was like, it doesn't feel like work. It didn't feel like work, and that's where we really
Yeah.
want to be, right? Like I said, that joy where you're like, it feel
Yes.
like it's hard to do. It just feels so easy because I'm wired like that. I'm a multitasker, kind of type A, and so the ED provides that. Like patients come in, you could triage, you could be in the critical rooms, you could be in the stable area, move
Yes.
around like any given day it's just like surprising versus like being in the med surge. You might have the same patient for a month or a week or whatnot, but it had variety, and so that was my niche. And then our chief asked me, Kim, do you want to be, would you want to be an assistant manager? And I remember specifically saying I didn't want to be a manager because I saw how manager, I saw how hard our managers work, how tough they had it, even
Yes.
thinking about, when I was like, you need to go to lunch. And I'm like, I can't go right now. Just, the whole operation piece. Like, I was like, I don't want any part of that. But you know what? The fact that someone saw more in me said, you know what? Why not give it a try? And so I started in that leadership role. And I pretty much stayed in leadership. I have to be completely honest with you. I had been seeking that joy I had when I was doing bedside care in the ED in leadership, and how things go up and down in leadership. I've had my moments. And then, when I got tired of that,
Yeah.
I decided to consult and do other things. So I would say that kept my passion. So as soon as I started getting like, I want to try something else, I did it. Right. So that kept that fire lit in regards to being it opened up other doors for me. So outside of my 9 to 5, I was able to work through professional nursing organizations and be on boards and learn different committees and different initiatives. And I just walked through the doors. Like as opportunities came, I tried them out. And either it's like, okay, it works for me or it doesn't. And so that's I think how I kind of keep it going because I have my hands in multiple places. And again, that's the beauty of nursing because there's so many avenues that you can go down in our profession.
You know what? You make a great point because there are so many areas. So, but then people are finding themselves stuck
Mm.
and not willing to like take that risk and go do something different. It's funny that you said that because when I was a new grad, I was like, I already knew and I did not want med
Mhm.
surge, but they were like, no, you need to do med surge for a year, and I was like, no, because I was already working as like an LVN. And so I knew that that wasn't going to be my place. And so I just applied anyway to a NICU program.
Uh-huh.
And I got it. And I was like so ecstatic that I got it because I felt like it called me
Right.
into it. Like when I went through my rotation,
Hmm.
it was like, ooh, I could do this. I could be there as a support when the mothers can't be here. So it like really spoke to my heart. And so I did that. And that's totally what I did. Just really enjoyed working with the babies and the long term care for the babies and things like that. So I did it the opposite way. I'm so glad. I definitely would not change it to go back. I would not go into med surge. I still would go for NICU because NICU was my heart
Yeah.
when I first started. So yeah, thank you for sharing your journey about that. So, you know, speaking of that, now both of us I've been in the profession probably, I think I calculated the other day, and I was so shocked that I've been in there for 30 years. Like I started out as a nursing assistant and I went up the track, right? So I am so curious because when we were talking the other day, we wanted to kind of get into some mentorship.
Hmm.
And so I know that you're an amazing mentor. And by the way that I met Kim, you were on, I don't know exactly the event that it was on, but I think it might have been a Black Nurses Association event, and you actually were speaking.
Yes.
Yeah, you were speaking on it, and I was like, who is this woman? She is amazing.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I got to put her name down. I have got to reach out to her because you talked with so much fervency and so much passion and so much excitement. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get to know who she is. And I literally like pinged you shortly after
Yes.
after the event was over. It was such a powerful event. And you know what? Even though I had been in the profession for so long, I was so busy, I never really took the time to find out about the Black Nurses Association,
Yeah.
although I would have loved to do that earlier, but I didn't. But when I saw you, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I got to join.
Yeah.
Because you were, I mean, it was just so powerful what you were doing. And I think it was an equity event, and it was amazing. Dr. Dawson was there. It was amazing. So I was really, that kind of was like a, you know, another reawakening
Yes.
for me. So thank you for that. So that's how I know her, because she's like the bomb.
Aw.
So talk to us about mentoring.
Yeah, so that event, just leading into it is the Bay Area Black Nurses Florence Stroud Black History Month conference series, which Dr. Shirley Everett Manley
Yes.
started. I was the president of the Bay Area Black Nurses Association, which is a local chapter of the National Black Nurses Association, and she said we need to do a conference in Florence Stroud, who's one of the co-founders of the Bay Area Black Nurses Association. We need to do something in her name. So Dr. Shirley Evers Manley did it for 2 years, and it was at UCSF. And I vowed to her that I would keep that conference going. And after she handed the baton, I kept it going for 8 years. And when I tell you,
Wow.
Charlene, when you have a vision and a passion for something, and you know that other people have a need, that aligns and things happen. And if I can, if there's one
Yes.
thing I want to share with you all who are watching, is the power of the ask, right? If you don't ask, you'll never know what the answer is. You'll never know what the possibilities are. And so I took nothing and created something in the sense of like resources. We had no budget. We started from scratch. And I went to the nursing schools that were in our areas and asked, can we use your facilities? I know you have students of color who are in need of mentorship, who are in need of support, and who are in need of a community, right? Specifically, like at predominantly white institutions. I went to one and I found my community there, but I know everyone is not blessed enough to have that. And so we started from there, and we've traveled from Cal State East Bay to Samuel Merritt University to USF, my alma mater. We just moved around, and this conference grew. And so during the pandemic, it was like we did a conference with Cal State East Bay, and that was the last conference that I led. And I said, this needs to live on. It really does. And I had always wanted to connect Kaiser Permanente with the conference to do it. So finally, we were able to do that, and that was the conference that you attended. And so, and
Ah,
to have this conference live on, and and the main aim is really to bring academia, healthcare organizations together, and students of color, right? Because the vision and the mission of the National Black Nurses Association, or Bay Area Black Nurses, is basically to increase diversity within the nursing profession, as well as to address the healthcare disparities among Black and Brown individuals. And so that there's so much intersectionality in that we need to really get boots on the ground and really work towards a better reality
Yes.
in the workplace for the nurses, as well as for the community and the people that we serve. And so that was that event. And then so mentoring happened in the sense of I just started organically started to mentor individuals. And through the National Black Nurses Association, when I was on the board, I was put on the committee, on the mentorship committee, and I just stepped down actually
Ah.
serving as the national mentorship chair. And so, with that, the National Black Nurses Association, the mentorship program is called the Collaborative Mentorship Program. And there's 3 levels of mentorship. The first level is approaching careers for our new grads or our students. Then there's acknowledging professions for our competent nurses who are considering maybe trying a different area of nursing, or considering leadership. And then there is aspiring leaders, and that's for individuals who may be considering getting their DNP or their PhD, or considering executive
Hmm.
level leadership. And so there's 3 levels, and one of the theorists that we use with developing this program, um, under Dr. Eric Williams, who was the one of the presidents, actually the first male president of NBNA, was to use novice to expert, which is Dr. Patricia Benner, which is so, it just
Oh,
makes sense, right? That
yes.
novice to expert, that whole gradual
Right.
process, toward the whole learning process. We start out as our new grads and then become experts in our field. And so when I look back at my childhood, like I said, 8th grade, I knew I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't see anyone in my community that was a nurse. I yeah, like I didn't see anyone, and there wasn't one event, but I just knew I loved people. Like I just loved to help. And my mother actually was a high school. She got pregnant in high school with my sister, and she got her GED. And so my mother had worked, at Nation's Hamburgers for years. And so my mother didn't have the knowledge and the skills to help me with my educational goals. I mean, she always promoted education and knew I was going to college. But when I think about some of other individuals who have a foundation in their homes, their parents went to college, and that kind of like the pathway is laid for them. That wasn't the case for me. I'm a first generation college graduate in my family, and so I was like, I feel like was my duty to give back, to help those who are coming behind me, to usher in the next generation of nurses, and really help that
Yes.
their journey to be a little less difficult, or to help them to get over hurdles, and be that person, be that safety net, for them. And this is a Bible verse that says, where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of
Yeah.
counsels, there is our counselors, there is safety and power in that. And that's Proverbs
Yes.
11 and 14. And then there's also a version of it where it talks about where there's no knowledge, the people perish, right? I think this is directly
Yes.
related to the need to have the knowledge and the skill, and a person, a connector, right, to the goals that we set out
Yeah.
before us. Just like me mentoring a student, I'm about to start a new role as a director of nursing. And so I've already reached out to my community because I need a mentor. I need someone to help me, like, consider things that I have, I may not have thought about, or that's going to help me to be better positioned. So it is a trusting, kind of reciprocal type of relationship, because not only do we impart knowledge and wisdom and experience with our mentees also impart their knowledge, wisdom with us. And so I just love mentoring, and want to do all that I can to basically grow our community of mentors. And like I said, it goes both ways. No matter where you're at in life, there's someone that was ahead of you, right? And there's someone that's behind you.
Yes.
So let's reach back and let's look forward, right? And that's how we're going to be here together.
Wow, I love the passion that Kim Scott brought to us about the nursing profession and how she loves it. Where we're going to continue the conversation and we're going to tap into a little bit more on mentoring. So I look forward to seeing you at the next episode.